12 vehicles cheaper than the iPhone X. If you're looking to buy the new Apple iPhone X, you better be prepared to pony up some serious cash. How much money are we talking about? Well, the Apple Store shows the price depending on different options to be $999 to $1,149. That's enough money to buy a good used car. Let's take a look at what you can buy for the same price as an Apple iPhone X. Subaru Impreza 1997, $750. Everyone knows how reliable these cars are, and being that it's an all-wheel drive car, you can drive safely in any hazardous condition. The regular going price for these cars is around $750 depending on the condition. And the model that we found had everything working, only the air conditioning needed to be charged. The Subaru 4-cylinder engine can run for a very long time if it's had its oil changed on a regular basis. Sure, they might have a lot of miles on them, and they will probably need a few things fixed here and there, but you can own cheap, reliable transportation for much cheaper than the new iPhone. Honda Accord 2000, $600. No single automobile holds its value better than a Honda, and you really can't go wrong with a good used Honda Accord, especially the 2000 model year. Some of these cars can have over 100,000 miles on them, and yet are still reliable and dependable as ever. In fact, the engine in these cars are so reliable that they usually outlast the transmissions. And for the super low price of $600, it's a real steal. You might need to add a stereo or some new floor mats, but for this price, you could buy two of these cars for the cost of the most expensive iPhone X. 1999 Jeep Cherokee, priced from $350 to $1,200. The trusty Jeep Cherokee is a vehicle that is usually sought after regardless of what year or what mileage is on the engine. That's because these vehicles are built tough, and a lot of people like to restore them. The straight 6-cylinder engine is even called legendary by some mechanics for being able to have over 200,000 miles put on them and still run with no trouble. You can find plenty of good examples of these for sale, and most of them are ready to drive away, needing only some minor repairs. Sure, it might need a coat of paint and probably some new tires. And if they require parts, they're usually pretty cheap, because a lot of these vehicles were produced. This is a family-sized SUV that you can usually find in the price range of $350 to $1,200, and most of them you can jump in and drive away. Audi TT 2.0T starts from $1,000. Believe it or not, you can go out and find some of these cars in really good shape, and even some people that are reluctant to sell. There are several on the market starting at $1,000 that have around 150,000 miles. A couple needed some minor repairs, but one was found to have a good interior, a still reasonably good exterior, and its timing belt, clutch, and alternator replaced. It needed a couple of tires as well. But for $1,000, you can't really go wrong for this kind of car. It's still cheaper than an iPhone X. Dodge Ram 1500 SLT. Prices start from $700 for the older models, around 1998 or so. But Dodge makes some pretty dependable trucks, and the 1998 Dodge Ram 1500 SLT is no exception. The great thing is that you can end up driving away in one for far less than the price of an iPhone X. We even found a really nice 4-door extended cab for $1,499, and it was in fantastic shape. Next time you see someone with their iPhone X, remember they could buy a decent truck for the same amount of cash. Volkswagen Cabrio, less than $1,000. While putting our list together, we ran into a nice little 1998 Volkswagen Cabrio that was said to drive great and it didn't have any problems. And for just $1,000, that's a really good deal. Sure, the car had a little rust, but it wasn't major. And the car is a convertible with anti-lock brakes. It even had some nice wheels and leather interior with heated seats. Imagine being able to buy one of these cars for so little money and cruising around with the top down. Sometimes it really is hard to believe what you can get for so little money. 2003 Nissan Maxima SL. There was a couple of these cars listed, and they didn't appear to have any problems whatsoever, and they looked great considering the year. One of the cars we found was a 4-door sedan GLE with an automatic transmission and a V6 engine. The car looked absolutely perfect with no rust and no exterior body damage. And with only 124,000 miles, you could say the engine in this fine Japanese automobile was barely broken in, as some of these engines have been known to go over 250,000 miles with no signs of slowing down. The list of accessories and goodies on this car was a mile long, including power windows, power steering, air conditioning, and much more. Can you believe an iPhone costs as much as a car like this? 2005 Chevrolet Trailblazer LS. The Trailblazer is a good truck, and for around $1,200 or less, you can pick one up in great running condition that might need a few small parts here and there. But the one we found made an awesome work truck. The Trailblazer came with a 4-wheel drive, CD player, sunroof, anti-lock brakes, driver airbag, passenger airbag, air conditioning, cruise control, power locks, power windows, and power seats. Even if it did need some repairs, it was a lot of vehicle for the small price. 1995 Pontiac Firebird 2-door, 3.4L V6. We're not going to brag about this car and say it's the greatest car ever, but for about the same price as an iPhone X, you can have a decent-looking and good-running car that will get you from point A to point B with no troubles. Most of these had a problem with the paint in that the clear coat didn't last very long, but the example that we found also came with your choice of automotive paint. The car had also just barely reached the 100,000-mile mark. It's worthwhile to mention that we also found a 1969 Pontiac Firebird for $2,000. Of course, you would have to put some money into a classic like this if you wanted it to be halfway decent. 2003 Jaguar X-Type. We saw one of these sell for just about $1,300, which was a real bargain. The interior was nice, the exterior was decent. It was listed as being very well maintained and driving perfect with no issues. Perfect condition, it said. The 2003 Jaguar X-Type was loaded with all the nice stuff like air conditioning, cruise control, power locks, power windows, and power seats. And when you can find a car this nice for just about the same price as an iPhone X, we're sure that anyone would be thinking twice. Of course, you could always buy them both if you have the cash. Chrysler New Yorker 1993. It's been said that this car was the top of the line in 1993. It had all the creature comforts that a small luxury car would be expected to come with. The car we found had everything replaced, including the engine and the transmission, and it had been sitting under a car cover for many years. Being off the road for many years, the owner of the car said that amazingly, it starts right up and runs perfect, and that there were too many replaced parts to list. So how much could you pick up a good example for? How about $500? That's way less than an iPhone X. And this car is destined to be a classic in its own right. 1999 Chevrolet Tahoe. It seems that time goes by pretty quick, and one day you're looking at a vehicle that you might have remembered to be very fancy and expensive, like the 1999 Chevy Tahoe. You could fit the whole family inside this thing, pack the back up with camping gear, and head off to the mountains with the AC on. The Chevy 350 engine is one of the most reliable US-made engines ever built. The parts for this engine are cheaper than any other engine that an American car manufacturer made. This makes owning a Chevy with a 350 engine a worthwhile investment. And for about $1,200, you can find many of these trucks for sale. They probably have a little rust and need some work depending on how much they were driven, but for that much money, it's a real bargain.
Hey, are you a science geek? Then you probably know what happens at the edge of universe, or what could happen if our sun vanished. Is it possible that people could live on the moon? Are we really alone in the universe? If you're curious about the answers to these questions, we're exploring them here.